What's up, guys? Beat Up 44 back with another video. We're going to take a look at the Kansas versus Duke Elite Eight matchup here today. The game is just finished up. Duke got by a game Syracuse team who would not die late in that ball game. I think Duke ended up pulling it out by 3 or 4, and Kansas led easily throughout versus Clemson. But Clemson closed the gap late to make it a little bit of a ball game. But this is a juicy matchup. We got the number 1 seed Kansas out of the Midwest and the 2 seed Duke out of the Midwest. The road for Kansas here has looked to be a little bit tougher than what Duke's had so far. Kansas got the 16 seed Penn in the first round. In the second round, they got the 8 seed Seton Hall Pirates from the Big East. And that was a tough matchup for them. They kind of had to grind that out to the end. And then we got by Clemson, which they led that game throughout. And Clemson closed the gap late, but Kansas was able to finish it off. And as for Duke, in the first round, they had the 15 seed Iona. Iona, a team we like to get up and down, and that's what Duke loves to do with those guards and the big boys on the back line. And they handled them easily. In the second round, it was Rhode Island. Duke had them down, I think, 17 in the first half. Just too much big men down low for the Rhode Island Rams to handle. And then against Syracuse, it was a battle of the 2-3 zones. And the young guys from Duke won out. It kind of looked like Duke was going to keep pulling away in this ball game, but Syracuse, Tyus Battle kept knocking down talented big shots. Him and the freshman, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but they both stepped up and hit big shots late to keep Syracuse in it and made a game of things. But here we are. We got Kansas Duke. This game is going to be played in Omaha, Nebraska, so you give the home court and crowd advantage to Kansas. But you know the Duke fans, they're going to have their crowd there, and they're going to be loud too. But yeah, I think Kansas will have the home court advantage here in Omaha, Nebraska. And as for the matchup, it's a very intriguing matchup. You got the veteran guards of Kansas going up against the Grayson Allen, who's a senior, and then Duval and Gary Trent, both freshmen. And then the big boys down low for Duke, Bagley and Carter, going up against the big boy for Kansas, Udoka Azubuike. It's going to be a very interesting matchup there. But the Duke zone, Kansas, a guard-laden team, really good at moving the basketball in the half court. Devontae Graham leading the show. Malik Newman, who's been knocking down the 3-ball at a high rate. And Speed Mykhailiuk, just a dead-eye marksman, a dude who can spot and dot from downtown. So really intriguing matchup. As we look at the game, Duke really not a deep team. They bring in off the bench. They bring in Bowden, backup center, Alex O'Connell, who hardly really plays, and Delorier, a guy that hardly sees any action. So Duke is a really thin team. Foul trouble, if they get any type of foul trouble in this game, it could be a big issue for them at the guard spot. As for Kansas, not a real deep team, but they've got a little bit more depth than Duke. Lightfoot, who can come in and give good minutes, not a real big scoring threat, but a guy who can bring energy and defense to this ball game. And D'Souza, the freshman who's been coming on of late, another big body that can throw at Duke down low to help out with Wendell Carter, and Bagley down low to help Udoka out throughout the game. And as for LaGerald Vick, he's kind of the 5th guy for this ball club. He's a guy who can pop up and have a real big game, but he has his moments where he'll disappear and you won't see him for a while. And Garrett, another guy that comes off the bench for Kansas, not a real big scoring threat, but a guy who can play some good defense and give some good minutes to the Jayhawks. So, but this is a really intriguing matchup. It's going to be, I think Kansas really matches up well against this Duke zone. Great from the outside. They have the big man, Udoka Azubuike, down low, who can kind of give them that threat on the block. But, yeah, I think this team matches up well against the Duke zone because they got the guys that can knock down the perimeter jump shot and really stretch this zone out. And if they do stretch that out, that kind of opens things up for Udoka Azubuike down low on the block. And they can kind of get it into him and kick it back out and create more open looks from the perimeter. But Kansas defense, they're not a great defensive team. A Duke team on that back line, it's going to be interesting to see how they defend. I mean, you might see some zone from Kansas in this matchup, but I don't want to see too much. But you never know. Self might try to go full court and speed up Duke and try to speed the game up a little bit. But it's going to be interesting to see how Kansas approaches this game on defense, because the back line and Bagley and Carter is always an X factor when you're playing Duke. It's going to be interesting to see if Udoka Azubuike can hold his own down there. He's not the fastest on his feet, and Carter and Bagley both really good, agile bigs who can put the ball on the deck and take it in from the perimeter and shoot the mid-range jump shot. So it's going to be an interesting matchup to see how Azubuike handles that. But Azubuike at the other end on offense, junkyard dog kind of big, who can score the ball, who has some crafty post moves. But, yeah, very intriguing matchup. I mean, I think this is the best matchup we've got left in the Elite Eight. I mean, the 2 seed from the Midwest, Omaha, Nebraska. But I really like Kansas in this matchup. The veteran guards, the veteran leadership. Duke, really young, but really talented. But that zone, I just think there's something tells me that Kansas is going to be able to bust this zone, knocking down the 3 ball. And I think the youth might show up. Trayvon Duval, a really good player, but a young guy who's been very inconsistent for Duke this year and has struggled to knock down the perimeter jump shot. That might rear its head in this game. But I think they're really going to try to establish Bagley and Carter on that block, because they could use that to their advantage, because I think they do have the advantage in the paint, which is it's easy to when you got a guy like Wendell Carter and Marvin Bagley. I mean, you're going to have the advantage almost every night your team steps on the court, because those two are top 10 first-round NBA draft pick guys. I mean, it's hard to match up with that. It's going to be interesting to see what they get out of Trayvon Duval and Trent. Dude, if he gets hot, it makes Duke really tough. And then you got Grayson Allen sitting there who does a little bit of everything for this team, runs the point, knocks down the 3 ball, can get in the lane and set up the bigs. And I'm gonna choose Kansas here. That's gonna be my pick in this basketball game. It's like I said, I think the veteran leadership from the guards and their ability to knock down the 3-point shot really gets that Duke zone extended, or tries to extend it out. And I think their ball movement on the perimeter is very good, and they can get a lot of open shots, and their guards are really good at attacking gaps. Malik Newman be able to get in the middle of that defense, and Devontae Graham, a guy who can get in the defense and drive and kick. And you'll have Vic and Mekhi Luke spotting on the outside. Both those guys, great knockdown shooters from down there. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be back and forth, nip and tuck until the end. I just think the Kansas veterans knock down the shots late. It seems like we've seen it all year from Kansas, late in ball games. It looks like they're going to go down, but the veteran guards step up and always make big shots, and I think we're going to see that late. They're going to have the crowd on their side, being this is in Omaha. So I look for Kansas. This has a chance to be a high-scoring game, but the Duke zone could slow it down a little bit. So I look for it to be Kansas anywhere in that 70 to 80 range. Duke anywhere between the 65 to 75 range. So I'm going to go, let's go Kansas 79, Duke 74, in a game that is won late by the Kansas guards. But that's my prediction for that game. It should be a good one. Can't wait to watch it along with all the other great Elite Eight games. But I hope you like my breakdown for this Kansas-Duke matchup. Stay tuned for some more videos going forward. Like the video, comment down below with some of your thoughts on what you think is going to happen in this ball game. Can't wait to watch this Elite Eight play out. Thanks for watching.